We have now entered the studio and we are on part two. So let's make sure that you know we are reading Emerge. From the butterfly egg emerges the caterpillar, which has one purpose in life to eat. The caterpillar grows rapidly and will shed its skin or molt several times since the skin does not stretch to accommodate new growth. The caterpillar readies itself for the next stage either by spinning a silken pad from which it hangs head down, attached by its rear legs, or by spinning a silken girdle whereby the head is upright. The final molt of the caterpillar's skin reveals the chrysalis. The chrysalis stage is inactive, but there is great activity within. In a process that is not fully understood, the old caterpillar body transforms into what people say is the adult butterfly. Usually, just prior to the time when the butterfly will emerge, the chrysalis becomes transparent so the butterfly can be seen transforming within. The eaglets emerge from breaking through the shell using their egg tooth, a pointed bump on the tip of the beak. They have wobbly legs that are too weak to hold their weight, and their eyes are partially closed, limiting vision. Their only protection is their parents. With each passing day, the nest of the eaglets become more uncomfortable as the mother eagle throws out padding. She then makes loud noises, flapping her wings and forcing the baby birds to walk in the rough and sharp surfaces. Human beings emerge through birth. We are delivered through the birth canal or by C section, a surgical procedure. When we emerge, we are hit on the buttocks to evoke a cry to proclaim we are alive. But in most cases, in today's time, babies come out crying without a hit. We are given a name, sometimes without much thought to the meaning of our name, as an indication of who we may become, but just to be labeled so others can directly converse and distinguish us from others. Just a note here, it is good to find the origin and meaning of your name, even though your parents may not have gone to this extent. But most often than not, your name was divinely given and can give you some insight on who you are or who you shall become. Now, after emerging, humans go through stages of infancy to 2 years, where we experience the learning of social attachment, maturation of functions, being fed, and physically growing. Next level is toddlerhood, where we experience the learning of self control, pride versus shame, doubt, language development, fantasy, and play. The next level is early school age, where we experience the learning of gender role identification, early moral development, initiative versus guilt, and right and wrong. The next level is middle school age, where we experience the learning of social cooperation, self evaluation, the learning of social cooperation, again, skill learning, team play, concrete thought. The next level is early adolescence, where we experience the learning of physical maturation, relationships, group identity versus alienation, and peer influence. The next level is later adolescence, where we experience the learning of internalized morality, career choice, and individual identity versus role diffusion. We are different, we are the same, but not always equal in our level of maturity, understanding, and growth. We are like butterflies in the wind. Some can fly higher than others, but each one flies to the best it can. Why compare one against the other? Each one is different. Each one is special. Each one is beautiful. Quote from Anonymous. You are born an original, so don't die a copy. Quote John Mason. From the emerging, we can relate to the creatures of flight. From the eggs of these creatures, an organism emerges that is unlike the egg. Once the living thing breaks out, it still is not what it is going to be. It realizes that it is at a stage of feeding on the external things that will cause it to grow into its preordained, predestined state of being. It has others around it that will help protect, give direction, and nurture. The butterfly at the caterpillar stage is alone without parents. It is shedding and reshedding skin. It once again envelops itself within a protective covering, the chrysalis, as it prepares for the fullness of its purpose, which is to be transformed into a beautiful butterfly. In the chrysalis, it appears to be doing nothing spectacular, but actually a great deal of activity is occurring on the inside, and it becomes transparent for everyone to see this turmoil. Human beings have to envelop ourselves in our parents, in those of authority, in positive role models, in positive environments, and in positive influences and words to help us to the final level of maturity that aids us in reaching our destiny. During these years, externally, it may appear that nothing spectacular, no real major strides have transpired, but internally, many spectacular things are developing. We are identifying who we are, who we can be, what we are, what we believe, what morals we have, and what morals we will live by. All these things are going on in the inside, and at certain checkpoints, we become transparent where others will observe, correct, redirect, or concur. We too experience as the eagle the nudging of our parents, having us to walk in the rough and sharp surfaces. Sometimes these experiences are not induced by loving parents, but can be induced by negative forces that have landed us in ugly situations, which causes us to bypass some vital checkpoints. The negative forces can be the lack of love and nurturing, physical and mental RIP perpetrated by others, mental and physical abuse, neglect, rejection, disconnection, abandonment, poverty of the mind, spirit, and soul, and addictions that spiral us to destruction. Yes, these are the rough and sharp surfaces that we must rise above, no matter how hard, how difficult, how devastating it may be or seem. We must aim to fly above it all and soar to our destiny of greatness. Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles that one has overcome while trying to succeed. Quote from Booker T. Washington: obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. Quote from Michael Jordan: we must believe there ain't no mountain of negativity and adversity high enough. Ain't no river of sorrow and despair wide enough. Ain't no valley of distress or pain low enough to keep us from flying to greater heights and new levels in life. I realize not only must we be mindful of the emerging process and all the forces of good and evil that will come to either help or hinder, we must be reminded that the attack is fiercely directed toward what we believe and what we have faith about or in. I can physically live in a slum, but if I believe and have faith that I will not be there always and that my present situation is not that bad and could be worse, I will survive it and will come out. Emerging is a coming out. We are not longer hidden in an egg or a protective covering. We are no longer hidden. We're not incubating. We are physically visible and viable. But during this emerging, our sensory cues can cause us to see, hear, feel, and experience pain, hate, destruction, fear, doubt, unbelief, shame, guilt, unpleasantness, failure of others, and much more that will try to infiltrate our inner beings and attack our psyche. Once negatives get in, they will begin to break down, alter, and deteriorate our positive belief systems and our faith. Our beliefs will become warped, and the evidence will show on the outside. Our plans, ideas, hopes, goals, and dreams will begin to fall to the ground and break into millions of pieces. Our very souls will begin to burst at the seams and leak defeat. But let us reflect on this chapter. While emerging, we must be on guard to evaluate all influences that we have grabbed hold to. Sit a moment and reflect on the traits, whether good or bad, of your parents, teachers, siblings, children, relatives, pastors, friends, enemies, and even you that you know have influenced your behavior and now you display them. Recognize either by writing them down in two columns, a good column and a bad column, or by calling them out one by one, how they have enhanced or damaged you internally. Reject what is damaging and command it to leave and release you. Reassure your mind, spirit, and soul and your heart that there is nothing you have not honestly dealt with that will surface from the inside to cause further influence and turmoil. Receive and increase the positive and good influences and traits in lieu of everything else. Rejoice that you have been true and honest with yourself and to yourself. Now be thou revived and continue soaring to higher heights and new levels, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. Beware of the influences, the experiences, whether good or bad, during the emerge. Work through what resides within. It may hinder your ability to lift off when it is time to fly. You have the power to throw out what is not needed before it throws you off course. Just believe you can and you will. Part 3 is coming soon. Blessings.